Ninja Gaiden is really coming back. Earlier this year, we got a remaster of Ninja Gaiden 2 with Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which I never reviewed, but it was awesome. And in a couple of months, we will be getting Ninja Gaiden 4, which looks epic. But in between those two is a brand new 2D Ninja Gaiden game published by .mu, indie or not, a top 5 favorite game publishers today, for me personally. And after playing Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, yes, Ninja Gaiden is back. Hi guys, DPX here reviewing today Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Now before we get started, you know what to do. Be sure to subscribe, to hit the bell, leave a comment, or, I have a sword. You don't want to know what I'm going to do with it. Starting off with the good, this is classic Ninja Gaiden, and I'm talking like NES Ninja Gaiden. Obviously it's more fleshed out, there's more of a story, multiple playable characters, more mechanics, and the levels on a design aspect are more fleshed out in particular, but this gives the classic Ninja Gaiden feel. The game feels very good. It almost reminds me a bit of The Messenger, which is funny to say that because The Messenger was almost like a nod to Ninja Gaiden amongst other things too. But the way the combat works along with the platforming, I just really like it. In terms of the levels, sure there are moments where you run from left to right killing enemies, but then there are other parts of levels where it involves platforming. Most notably, there is an ability where you jump and you press the button while in the air, like the jump button to either do a spinny attack or bounce off of certain objects or enemies. Often there won't be a platform there, but there will be something to bounce off of, and something like that adds a lot to the game, I feel. There's also, of course, wall jumping and wall climbing, which is a no-brainer. But then there is the combat. Obviously you play as, well actually not Ryu Hayabusa from the previous games, but rather a student of his, Kenji. And he has all the stuff from slashing enemies to the usual spinny bounce move. Despite this not being Ryu and instead being Kenji, he is basically the default character and plays very similarly to how Ryu plays in the older games. However, there is a second character in the game named Kumori. She's this ninja from a rival clan with these unique powers, but she has daggers and ninja stars and whatnot. But at a point in the game, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but it's pretty integral to the game and happens rather early on, so I'm gonna say it. Kenji and Kumori fuse together, and all their abilities are on display. You do mostly play as Kenji, with Kumori mainly being like a character within him, if that makes sense. But there are points where you have to do some platforming, and that's the only time you really turn into Kumori. I'll have more to say about those sections later on, but the abilities are still sick. On top of that, there's also like these energy things, not quite sure what to call them, but you can charge an attack and it can knock out big enemies and be very efficient, although it does take away some of your health, so you have to use it wisely. The boss fights are fucking sick too. They are very flashy and make you really strategize. And that leads to my next point. Going back to what I said earlier about it being classic Ninja Gaiden, classic Ninja Gaiden has a reputation of being very difficult, and Ragebound, well, it says it in the title, cause if you are not properly prepared, you are bound to rage. But it's challenging in ways that make you feel like a beast when you beat certain bosses or sections. There are some annoying things that make the game challenging, but those are few and far between. I also love the sprites and visuals in this game. It gives the modern retro aesthetic that .mu seems to nail with games like Shredder's Revenge. And then there is the music. Ninja Gaiden almost always hits with its music, and it doesn't miss here. There's some new renditions of classic Ninja Gaiden music and some new tracks altogether, and it's just fire. Simply put, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is Ninja Gaiden at its finest. Moving on to the things I'm more mixed on, these are things that aren't quite bad, but they are not quite good. Or maybe something surrounding the game, but not an issue actually with the game itself, or something to be aware of. And one thing to be aware of is what I mentioned earlier, and that's how challenging the game is. This game will kick your ass because it is not messing around. I like that about Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, but I can see it turning off some players. There are some accessibility options to make the game easier, so I guess you can do that, but just be aware. Secondly, and this is a minor nitpick really, but when you get introduced to Komori and play her for the first time, the game doesn't really tell you how she works. I just found that a little odd. It's in the mix because you figure it out pretty quickly, and she does ultimately play rather similar to Kenji, so it's not that big of a deal, but just odd. And one more thing, this is just something to be aware of, sure, but yeah, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is not a long game. There are a total of 4 acts in this game, and each of them have a differing amount of levels in each act, and there are special stages and stuff you unlock after beating the game, but you could probably beat this game in one sitting. I wasn't expecting much more than that, to be honest, because .mu usually make very short games that are more designed around how infinitely replayable they are, and I'm sure this game is just as replayable as their other games, but I guess it's just something to be aware of. Moving on to the bad, I'm not sure if my controller has drift for this game and only this game. I am playing on Switch too, after all, but not with the Joy-Con, so I don't know. But I swear, every time I get hit by something from behind, my character will automatically turn around, which sounds like a small issue, but in practice, it's way more frustrating than you may think. Like, there are times where there are multiple enemies coming at you at once, or you're fighting a boss, but there's like other stuff around that can hit you. So like, you let out a flurry of attacks, but because you get hit from behind, you end up not hitting anyone. This didn't even happen every time, so maybe it's a glitch, maybe it's drift, or maybe it's some weird design with the knockback your character takes. I don't know, but either way, stuff like that, although not entirely, I felt did artificially make the game more difficult than it needed to be. I'm not saying the game was hard because of stuff like this, but what I am saying is there is some jank in the game that does make it a bit more difficult than perhaps it should be. Another issue I have is, remember earlier when I mentioned there are some sections where you summon Komori and do all this platforming or something? Well, those can often be very annoying and not very fun, especially when you do all that and it's just for some collectible instead of something that helps you progress through the level. Not terrible, but it is something that came up a lot and did drag the game down a bit for me. And plus, it is kind of disappointing that it is the only way you play as Komori, really, after she fuses with Kenji. I felt like they could have used her a bit more. Overall, sure, I have my issues with Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, but that is not enough to stop this game from being one of my favorite games of the year so far. It is challenging yet rewarding, classic yet refreshing, short yet definitely replayable, and just a damn good game. Koei Tecmo said that 2025 is the year of Ninja Gaiden, as the series is getting 3 new releases this year, including this one, and we still have yet to see how well Ninja Gaiden 4 fares, but after Ragebound, we are 2 for 2 so far, and if nothing else, the first brand new 2D Ninja Gaiden game in the past eternity is a damn fine one. It's not perfect, but it's still a fucking banger. In the end, I give Ninja Gaiden Ragebound a 9.5 out of 10. So yeah, that's my review for Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. A bit late, you know, this is a short game, so I have had the game beat for quite a few days, and this review is going up today. But, you know, what do you guys think? Have you guys played Ninja Gaiden Ragebound? Do you guys like it? Do you guys not like it? And if you haven't played it, do you guys want to play it, not want to play it? Anything about the game, let me know down below. Anyways, be sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, or, you know, I have a sword. You want to know what I'm going to do with it?